Righty, so this morning we've been talking about disruption, and you guys have done a fantastic presentation. I thought we'll just wrap up with just maybe a couple of questions, and then maybe your thoughts on this whole disruption, and maybe leading the first thing. You talked about collaboration and, first of all, purpose before risk. You said risk is obviously a key component in doing what you're doing, but actually think of purpose first. Do you want to just quickly expand on that a bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So we work at Figure NZ, we work across lots of organisations in the public sector, the private sector, and the NGO and academic sectors. And what we tend to see is that most organisations and people and structures are set up to design for managing risk rather than designing for delight of what they actually want to achieve. And it's like over time we've become so afraid of failing and doing things wrong or being in trouble, especially in the public sector, if you do something wrong or get in trouble, that we've ended up building how we work based on how to avoid doing things wrong or having a risk kind of manifest. And so we think instead about how can you design for delight, like what's the purpose that you're doing business for, and how would you most like to see that manifest. And once you've fully designed that, then go, right, so what are the risks that we're exposed to and how do we manage that? And then open all that up and say, this is what we're trying to achieve, but these are the risks that we need to manage. And people help and kind of come in, and when they see what you're trying to achieve, they're prepared to help you kind of manage those risks.
So that delight aspect, focus on that, and then build the risk framework around that. That then leads on to a word that you came up with, Alex, the failings and learnings. The word was what? Flirning. And for you, that was actually about not being afraid to fail and take learnings from that. So let's expand on that.
Yeah, kia ora. It's not actually my word.
Okay. but it's going to get around there. It's your word now.
Yeah. The biggest piece there is not thinking of, what we're working on. If this fails, I'm not proud of that. It's actually about flipping that and that mindset shift to actually, what am I learning from that? What did that teach us as a team? What did that teach us as an organization? And how can we grow beyond that? And when we start to create that shift, then all of a sudden, in everything that we do, we're not afraid to fail. And the faster that we can fail, the faster we're going to innovate as a nation. And in doing so, it's better for everyone.
And it's having, as I think was covered off this morning, having that trust. Because if people are trusting and they've got your back, then it's not really a failing. It's actually just a learning. And people accept the fact that it's a learning and you just keep moving on. Robert, just for you, just taking away some of the things you said, you shared very at the upfront about your life, and obviously you're a self-starter motivator. And I think if you look at where you are today, it's because you've got something within here. It's not about necessarily the education system. It was you were driven, but I'd like to just touch on because that was a question that came from the audience during the session this morning, as people were saying about our kids, because not everyone's got the self-driving motivational spirit straight away or the entrepreneurial spirit. Should we, from an education perspective, be doing more for our kids at school? You can teach entrepreneurs, but can you really? I'm not quite sure. But should we not be supporting our kids more in a different way in an environment to let them experiment, to let them learn and fail? Maybe we need to have a look at the education system a bit.
Yeah, I mean, I failed high school and I couldn't get into university. So me talking on how education would be structured, probably not the right guy.
Right.
But I do have some thoughts on where I've seen success come out. If you look at hackathons, a bunch of different individual minds come together. There's a unified purpose, and everyone is on the same boat, on the same mission for the same vibe. I think about like gang and pack mentality with the mob that has momentum.
Right.
And what I mean by that is when you surround a whole bunch of like-minded individuals on a mission for something, they start to snowball their own energy of positivity or negativity in better situations. But it was more about how can you take some of those dynamics of just how people want to engage, like team sports, camaraderie, working with others, all those type of communication skills. I think if I would take the approach of, is there smarter ways that we could get more of that bond pack mentality for our kids in safer environments where they could be freer to push their creativity out. Situations like that will have way more upside usually than leaving pockets of individuals to just go do their thing and hope that it's well.
Yeah.
Because then they feel like they're on a journey together, which is why that power of the team is so important. So I think the future of our kids could learn a lot from the fundamental dynamics of how sport interacts.
Yeah, and I think you touched on that whole, the public sector, the not-for-profit and the corporate starting to work closer together and collaboratively making things work. To sum up for you three, are you optimistic about, I mean, we talk about disruption, we talk about New Zealand, and obviously it's far more of a global stage, but do you guys, thinking of where you're at with your own businesses, thinking of where just the thought process are, the geopolitical issues going on, are you optimistic, or do you think a whole lot more effort's got to go in? Do you see a turnaround?
I see, both of those things. So I'm optimistic by nature, and part of that is getting my hands in and helping to contribute.
Yep.
But I think there's some extraordinarily serious issues that we have to deal with, and that seem to be getting worse rather than better. The part that I'm heartened by is that as we're all becoming more aware, we are being forced to look at the more human part of us, and you see the kinds of conversations that people are having, whether it's about how to include different communities, or whether it's about growing inequality, or whether it's about the environmental degradation. We're having conversations that I don't think we had in such a wide way 5 or 10 years ago. And so what heartens me is that at the end of the day, as humanity, we will come together to solve some of those things, but I don't think we're even 5% there yet at the moment.
Alex, for you?
Yeah, hugely positive in the space, and there is this wave building. There's a snowball effect growing, yet we need to support that and grow with that, and make sure that we're not just changing who we are at, say, maybe our level, but those below us, those above us, and really working together to create that change. And you look at some of the massive shifts that are going on, the people are sort of fed up, they're talking banks making billions of dollars worth of profit. We're talking plastic bag free supermarkets. It's slowly but surely these little pieces, it's building on that wave, and it's growing and keep growing. It's going to keep growing. So let's not let that momentum slow, and let's keep fueling it.
I like that.
I'm a full, relentless, radical optimist.
Yeah, I get
the
that.
Entire time. Like, I don't care
Really?
if everything is horrible and bad and crap and shitty. I always find any glimmer the whole time. Like, it'll get to the worst spot. I'm like, rad. Well, at least I've got a rad wife and a house over my head, and I've got flipping shoes, and I can afford to go out to a cafe and have breakfast. Like, I'm just so basic with gratitude that nothing else even phases me. I don't even flinch when I think about any of the other stuff. So I kind of, if there's a million haters and one positive thing, I will destroy the million, just human by human, and I'll just keep going until I create my own pack of positivity.
Good man. Your analogy was basketball, mine's tennis. So I always say, just play the game, the scoreboard will look after itself. And that's a theme that came through from the three of you. Put purpose first and profit will follow. And I think that's a bit of a shift for some people's thinking, and our business leaders. They're always focusing on profit, and sort of purpose comes along the side. But if you put purpose first, the profit will flow.
Yeah, I think though the hard part is we've been used to what the scoreboard looks like, and that's a financial scoreboard.
Yeah.
And what we're saying is that we know that that's not the right sole scoreboard to look at.
Yeah.
What we don't know yet is what the new scoreboard looks like. And so it's really hard because, yes, we're saying people, planet, look after a lot more things, but we don't know how to measure and manage that well yet. And as a data person, that's distressing for me. But I think that the way to solve it is by starting to say, okay, we know what we do now isn't right, but we actually don't know the answer yet.
Yeah.
And that's when we have to really step back and say, so what do we care about? What outcomes do we want to see? And how would we measure that? So what becomes our new scoreboard? At the moment, we're in this kind of flailing hard phase, which stresses people out because they don't have anything to kind of point towards.
What I think I'm interested on that is I think that businesses take the scoreboard of currency, where I think individuals should be taking the scoreboard of regret. Were they proud of what they created as individuals so they don't wake up at 60 and are gutted?
Yeah.
Are they, because they can't get that asset back for them, which is time. Like, businesses are coming
right.
I get that. So I wonder if there's going to be this new wave of scoreboard of the value of the asset, which is actually more important than that, which I wonder if it will be around personal regret percentage opposed to business profit percentage.
Yeah. I think one of the things that is a takeaway for me when I go into my next board meeting with BDO, I'm going to walk into the boardroom and go, guys, what don't we know?
Yeah.
Instead of just jumping in and going, hey, this is what we know, this is how we can add value, just sit back and go, hey, what don't we know?
Yeah.
Guys, I think it's been a fantastic morning. Our clients have loved it. You've been great. We'll definitely see you back at the Northern Club. You'll be
if I'm invited.
Yeah, you will be. And look, as I said, the doors of BDO are open for you anywhere, NZ around the world. How we can help, how we can collaboratively work more together, just yell out.
Awesome.
Again, thank you very much. Thanks
You're
very
welcome.
much, guys.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks, Barry.
Cheers.
Awesome.